Hello and welcome to One United. My name is Paritosh Joshi. Today with me is Anshuman and Wali. We're here to talk about the transfer window 2022-23, the first transfer window of the season. And United are struggling, to be very honest, although they have made a significant uh, stride, you can say, in this transfer window by signing a left back in Malacia, and he's not. It's not even a proper signing because we've hijacked a signing that's a first for many United fans because we have not been able to complete even our given targets. So hijacking another club's target is something we have not done in quite a few years. We are here to talk about that, about Ronaldo submitting a public transfer request rather than an official one, about Frankie de Jong, about Christian Eriksen about to be announced as a Manchester United player. Anshuman, first of all, welcome, and we're going live after a while, and we said that we'll be consistent when we last recorded the end of the season review, but alas, no signings, and again we are here after a long break. You have switched base for a while at least. Wali is in his home home territory. I am at my home territory. Somebody who's not in his home territory or is rather in his home territory is Cristiano Ronaldo. So we'll begin with that. He's at his home in Portugal, not in Manchester, and he's looking for a way out as the stories are to be believed. How do you think this is turning out to be for Manchester United, and what do you think are the possible outcomes of this whole scenario that we're facing?
Anshuma,
Who
you
wants
want
to
to go
begin?
first or?
I'm talking to
No, you
Anshuman.
can. You can.
No, no,
All
Anshuman.
right, so
I
Anshuma,
wanted
So,
take.
Anshuman.
Cool.
okay, so should I go first?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, I mean, the only time I was actually surprised was towards the end of last season when we were confirmed to not be having Champions League for this season, and Ronaldo was talking about how he still wanted to play, he still wanted to work with Ten Hag, and wanted to
Anshuman, your
see where
mic
things
is
were going to go.
Anshuman, your mic is getting a little topsy-turvy.
Yeah, just keep it at one spot.
Am I audible now?
Mm,
No, it's
not
quite
so much.
far.
You were earlier,
It,
but not right now.
it's
Mm-hmm.
coming in waves. I think you have to move it closer to your mouth.
You have to keep it closer to your
Okay,
mouth, I guess.
let me sort this out. I think Wali can take
Yeah,
it
now
from
it's
here for a while.
Yeah, now it's
okay, fine.
better.
That was fine though.
It
Anyway,
was better in the last few lines. Okay, well, never
although
mind. Wali, you can continue.
Well, to be honest, we all expected this. The moment we knew that we will not be making it for Champions League, we all knew, like deep within, that Cristiano Ronaldo, there's a big chance that he might be leaving next season. And even if he does play one game for United, let's say even in the preseason or even in the Premier League, I still feel that he'll be moving because if you remember, last year he played one game for Juventus. He also scored for them in the Serie A, and he left in spite of that. So once he makes up his mind, then there's no stopping him. Now it's whether he moves back to Madrid for some reason, whether it's PSG that wants to, accumulate that super team into another uh, with another star signing. I don't know
No, I
what that
don't
will
think.
be, but it's strange. It's weird. I don't know what that's gonna be. However, certain people are divided as to like we should have had Ronaldo, we shouldn't have had Ronaldo. Well, I'm in the middle. Well, I think we should have had Ronaldo a while ago. I think when we had we wanted to make our next, we've made plenty of mistakes. Like immediately after Sir Alex Ferguson left, I think if not for Pep Guardiola, we should have gone for Jose Mourinho, and then probably Ronaldo returning would have made sense. But right now, this team is struggling, and for Ronaldo to thrive under such a unit, you need to have creators in your team. You need to have a cohesive system so that they're able to feed you 24/7 within that box. And in spite of his rare chances, he did end up scoring the goals, but he is not able to implement that overall play which we expect off of him. And that's fair enough. That's his style of play. So I think that he'll be leaving and he's ambitious enough. He's won like five Ballon d'Ors. He's done it all. Why would he stay at United? Like, let's be honest. We're Manchester United fans. We've seen the glory days and all. But right now we're struggling. It's not the true identity of the club, which is why you can understand that he wants to leave and it's possible. and there's a big chance that he is leaving. So although there are reports that United don't want to sell, the reason why we are in for Anthony and Paulo Dybala, like as per the reports, is because like there's a big chance of him leaving. So if he does leave, I think it's fair enough, and you won't be able to blame him because he's an ambitious player. He wants to win. It's his final few years in European football, so he'll definitely. I think he's definitely on his way out.
Anshuman, what do you think about the whole scenario?
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yes, very much.
Yeah, okay. So the only time I was actually surprised regarding Cristiano Ronaldo was when he actually said last season towards the end, when we were confirmed to not be playing Champions League, that, oh, I wanted to stick around and I wanted to work with Ten Hag and see what happens with the squad. And even before the season officially beginning, he announces that he wants to leave. And in retrospect, I mean, hindsight is a wonderful thing, but in retrospect, I think that this is another brilliant PR spin that has been spearheaded by George Mensch, his agent. And the reason for that is by saying beforehand that he wants to work with Ten Hag, and then before the season officially begins, by saying that now he wants to leave. At least he now gives this sense of to at least to his fans and to the United fan base, he gives this sense that okay, he wanted to stick around, he wanted to work, but he has seen that things are not really working out, and United is not really in a very good condition, so he doesn't want to stick around. I think this does quite a lot of quite that does quite a lot of his reputation. I think as far as the PR campaign is supposed to be, because it's a lot less negative as compared to what things would have been if Cristiano would have single-handedly straight away said that, oh, I wanted to go, I want to go, just after one season, like back in April straight away. I think this does a lot less harm to his PR. So as far as I'm concerned, this is that. And do I think that Cristiano Ronaldo should leave? Yes, I have made my situation very clear about Cristiano Ronaldo since day one. It's a transfer that never should have happened, and everything that we made a calculated guess about as to how the season would turn out, how Ronaldo would turn out, how Manchester United would turn out, have essentially come true. And so there are really no surprises in what we have seen. And I don't really blame Cristiano in this as much as it pains me to say this, because I get where he's coming from. And if you do not like Cristiano, you can say that, okay, he's selfish, he's self centered. But it is this selfishness, it is this self centeredness that has made him the player he is. I mean, he has a very veritable legacy in the game, and he will go down as one of the best of greatest of all times as far as the footballing side is concerned. Nothing can take away from it. But that selfishness has both its pros and cons. So while he gets all the goals, he gets all the glories, and he helps, and he has helped his teams in the past. This is also a part of having Cristiano on your team, and United just did not have anything on their side to support what the positives that Ronaldo brings, and they had everything in place to amplify the negative side of what Ronaldo brings, and this is what they're going through right now. They are taking a PR hit, and their preseason tours that they had planned with Ronaldo, they are now going to take a hit as well, because the brands are going to start asking questions regarding why Ronaldo is not here. And obviously, we saw the leaked images of United skits that have been around for quite a while now. They have had Ronaldo, they would not be put out anymore. So we have all seen that PR side of thing and the commercial side of thing is going to take a hit. But I think a lot of damage has already been done as far as Ronaldo's being at the club is concerned. We paid him 510K a week. That is his base salary. There is that. We signed a 5-year agreement with Juventus to pay them somewhere between 15 to 23 million euros for him. And now we are in a situation in which Cristiano Ronaldo is essentially saying that you let me go for free, or I start banging the drums, because he's not coming to training. He's essentially AWOL. He's not showing up. This is what he's saying. He's on strike, saying he doesn't want to play. And Manchester United isn't that doesn't have too substantial a presence about them to put the foot down and tell him that okay, we are not going to tolerate this. This is not the Manchester United of old. Because if this would have been Manchester United of old, we would not have bought Cristiano back in the first place. Because let's not forget, we only brought him back because we believed, and as far as the reports are concerned, there was legitimate contact between Manchester City and Ronaldo. And while that is a separate debate as to how that would have panned out, the reality is we interfered in a matter that was not us to interfere into, and we bought a player that we did not require. And okay, circumstances played out in the season in such a way that that the whole Greenwood situation meant that it was just better to have a striker. And let's not mince any words. Cristiano Ronaldo was our best player last season, but here's the thing: no one really questioned that at the time of his arrival. Without him having played a single game, nobody questioned that that was ever going to happen. We always said that Cristiano will be the best player. We also said that United will not succeed. Now, this was not rocket science, because we just saw 3 years of Ronaldo at Juventus, which is the exact same thing that happened, in which he succeeded, broke a lot of individual records, and even won quite a lot of trophies with Juve, because it's Juve and it's Serie A. But they didn't really win the Champions League. And if Real Madrid's last season, last Champions League winning triumph is anything to go by, what we now can categorically say is that while Cristiano Ronaldo duly gets all the credit for all the work he did during his Real Madrid days, he also had a very important and very crucial set of players behind him in the squad that allowed him to have a platform to make those performances, because those players, they did not get as much limelight as they did in Ronaldo days, but they're getting right now. Karim Benzema, Luka Modric, Casemiro, Sergio Ramos, as long as he was there. And so every single big player that was not praised as much as Ronaldo was there is getting their due diligence now. And Real Madrid's win, the Champions League win last season, only proves that. So it all comes down to having a strong team. This is at the end of the day team sport, and why individualism is celebrated, and there should be some aspect of it. You can't just have one player in your team and expect him to just take you to victory single-handedly, because it doesn't practically happen. It happens in single moments that Cristiano Ronaldo did score goals. He had his hat tricks. He even had a free kick. There are matches in which he did score the winning goal. Nobody's taking that away from him. But that, on an aggregate, did not improve Manchester United as squad. We scored the least amount of goals we have in the last 3 to 4 seasons. We conceded the most amount of goals. Now all of this is not Ronaldo's problem, but and even he is not directly the problem. When people start talking about people, when Ronaldo fans start feeling insecure about the fact that everyone is like, attacking him, this isn't about Cristiano. He is a symptom of what plagues Manchester United, because he should not never have been brought back in the first place. He was going down his own merry business. But this is how shallow Manchester United's current mm, iteration is, that they just could not perceive their golden sun going to the blue half of Manchester. They just thought that everything that they had commercially, every single being they had would collapse, because there's nothing about United's present situation that speaks any kind of might. Every single thing that you think about Ronaldo, Manchester United being a giant, is in the past. When you think about Manchester United being a powerful club, you think about Wayne Rooney in that shirt with the AIG logo in front. You think about Manchester United of the noughties, not necessarily Manchester United of last decade, because let's be honest, there wasn't much. So yeah, that's all that there is. This is a signing that should never have happened, and now that we are in this situation, it's very hard to feign any kind of sympathy, because we are getting exactly what we deserve. We live by the consequences of our own actions, and these are the consequences of our own actions, and we very much deserve this. Now, do I think Ronaldo could get a move away? I think Chelsea is a very legitimate shout, because of their new ownership, because of Todd Bowley, because he is the interim sporting director. He does not have a sporting background. And this is an American consortium that wants to lay down a marker, that wants to say that, okay, we are the big guys now. And we want to keep portraying Chelsea as this big commercial giant, this big football club that used to be under the days of Roman Abramovich. And that is exactly the kind of the move they could make. And would that work with Thomas Tuchel? I don't really think so, because again, Cristiano Ronaldo is not that kind of player. He's not Pep Guardiola kind of player either. And the kind of positives he would provide would be in those 5 to 10 matches towards the back end of a Champions League campaign. And any manager would want Cristiano, because that kind of mentality is very, very rare. Let's not get it twisted. But you cannot really bench Ronaldo. You can't just tell him that, okay, you're going to play 15 games a season, and that's going to be it. Because we know what happens when you bench Ronaldo, or when you take Ronaldo off the pitch, because everything becomes about him. Everything stops being about the team, and that is the kind of noise that you're going to have to deal with. So Chelsea have that to consider. Obviously, Roma has been a link which I think is not going to happen. The Roma link has come about because it's Jose Mourinho. and the sporting director is Thiago Pinto, who again is a close ally of Jose Mourinho. That's how Mourinho arrived at Roma in the first place, and even Roma have American owners, so there is a connection there. These are the kind of owners that are actually going for Ronaldo, because the top level teams really are systems first teams now. And while you still would want individual creativity in your team to a certain extent, I don't think Ronaldo really fits into that model. At least in a 60 game season, in which you would rather have someone else who could play slightly longer and create a less of a mistake, less of a noise off the pitch. So he doesn't really fit anywhere in that regard. So it's going to be quite interesting to see which project actually goes for him. I don't think PSG is going to happen, because they have now onboarded two very good personnel. They have, first of all, they brought on Luis Campos as a, I think it's a consultant role, and he is fantastic. He has done some really good project work. So I think PSG have got that brilliantly down. And second thing they have done is they have onboarded Christophe Galtier, who was the last, whose Lille side beat PSG to the title last time. So I think they have done these two are their best appointments already, and I think they are the signings that they are going for are slightly more smarter. So I don't think Ronaldo is the that kind of player they would be going for. So there is that. So he is running out of options, and I think at the end of this transfer window, if he ends up at Manchester United, it's not going to be because he wanted to stay. It's because he got stuck. And I think a lot of he would then be asking a lot of questions to George Mensch as to why did he make him leave Juventus, because he did want to leave Juventus, but even in his last season, even if he would have played his last season there, he would have scored more goals. He would have at least won a couple of trophies. He would have broken more individual records and all that. And this would have been not as negative as it has been with Manchester United. So, and he would have earned a lot more money as well. So, yeah, let's see. I think there are very few options for Ronaldo out there. And I don't, as far as we are concerned, because this is a Manchester United show, we only bother. I at least only care about what happens to United. And it's as the sooner we can get rid of him, the better, because his presence was also a contributory factor to why Solskjaer got sacked quite much quicker than he would have gotten. I think he was going anyway, because Solskjaer's issues started surfacing even long before Ronaldo arrived. So that was already going to become a problem. And Rangnick could not do much about Ronaldo, because even though he's not the kind of player he would have wanted, he could not really bench him. He tried to do that, and he saw exactly what happened, and that ended the way it did. And even Eric Ten Hag, while he cannot publicly go and say that okay, he's a negative player and so, cannot talk about the negative aspects of Ronaldo. Silently, if you are trying to achieve a kind of rebuild that he's going to have, you would much rather do in the absence of all the negative aspects that bring with a personality like Ronaldo, which inevitably comes with him now. It's not something he can shake off. So the sooner we can get rid of him, I think it's better for us. And to be fair, it's better for him as well, because he's 37. He's running out of options. So if he's going to get any glory, it's not going to be at Manchester United. It's going to be somewhere else. So it's even best for him. And for his sake, I think the sooner he can get a move away, I think it's good for him. I don't think Thomas Tuchel would want him, but I think Ted Bowley would very much want him. So Chelsea is a complicated process, but I think Chelsea is the likeliest situation right now. So yeah, that's where I stand. Like the quicker he goes, the better for everyone. And Chelsea, despite not having a coach that would want Ronaldo, are the likeliest situation.
I slightly differ in that aspect. I think this is a good take, probably a more skeptical take on Ronaldo. Anybody with a certain kind of skepticism about Ronaldo as a footballer would have this take, and yeah, that is fair. But I also believe that there is an angle to it where Ronaldo also somehow knows that there are not many places where he can go right now. Given the wages that he requires, given the status that he has, there are not many places that will fit into Ronaldo's caliber or whatever. Chelsea, he doesn't want to go because that will be a really bad PR spin that will put him in a very negative light with the United fans. He'd rather look for away from the Premier League, because it will be a better story that he came to Premier League, scored these many goals at 37 years of age, and then went and did something else. I think he wants Bayern if there is a chance. Chelsea, I don't think is a plausible aspect. It's just one of those George Men's PR spins that Anshuman talks about. He's using the Chelsea link as a way to push United to do something in the market, to make some statements, I think. And United have not been able to do something in the transfer market. This can be one of those, because we have known how the Cristiano Ronaldo PR team works, so how they force the teams and how big the following is to do to make big structures do things that they don't want to, especially like United, who are vulnerable to these kind of situations. So I believe there's a mix of that. We can't probably know the whole truth about it, but I also believe that Anshuman is right about the fact that it's better for both parties to leave, because from what I have gathered up until now, is that although Ronaldo is a great player, and although I am a huge fan, Ronaldo as an entity, again, he did some negative things for United that weren't absolutely necessary for United in the last season, because we were a team in building in hindsight, because we can only talk in hindsight right now. Many things could have been done, and Ronaldo was probably not the one at the moment. Although he's a great player, Eric Ten Hag can use him. We'll see how it goes. And I think that's enough for Cristiano Ronaldo, because we've already done 20 minutes about him, and we've talked about talked enough about Cristiano Ronaldo. We'd rather talk about the latest incomings. Anshuman, do you have any last rebuttal or anything to say about Ronaldo? Else we'll move on. Or Wali, if you have anything to add on to.
Well,
Anshuman?
Yeah,
to be
no,
honest,
no.
yeah, the
Yeah,
decision is
Wali.
on his shoulder. He's going to be the one to decide. I would honestly love it if he stays for Eric Ten Hag. I think he will play a vital role in a much better system with a much better output. But I don't. I honestly don't have this feeling that he's going to stay. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay. I believe he's going to stay. I believe that this is another one of those PR spins that we talk about, but not in the way that we want to. Although Champions League is important, but I think somehow Ronaldo also knows that a team that is winning the Champions League is probably going to be Liverpool, City, Chelsea, Bayern and Madrid. Madrid, I don't think he's going to Madrid. Bayern, Oliver Kahn has already said that they are not looking for a signing like Ronaldo, because that goes against their principles. Chelsea, City, Liverpool already rule themselves out because of the Premier League thing, especially City and Liverpool, especially how they operate, especially with the signings that they have made. So I believe that Ronaldo somehow knows that the options are very bleak for him, and United is probably the best thing that he can do right now. And he wouldn't want to play Champions League for something like Olympic Marseille or Napoli or someone like that, because that is again a bad thing for his PR or his brand image, etc., etc. So yeah, that is what I believe. Let's move on to the latest incomings. Tyrell mentioned rumblings on social media. Christian Eriksen is about to be announced tomorrow. So this is going to be a huge day for both the parties, Manchester United and the incoming players. Frankie De Jong is still in the works. Some reports say that he'll be in Manchester in 2 days to complete the medical, and in 5 days it should be announced. But let's see. I think this whole 3-4 signings would also change the way people look upon the Ronaldo conundrum. But we'll see. Wali, what do you like to say about the latest incomings, and how do you feel about them?
Well, I'm actually quite pleased with Malaysia coming in. The reason for that is because Luke Shaw has been our first choice left back for a while now. But the thing is that he's rarely fit. When he's there, we do play some fluid football from the left channel, left hand side. But once he's not there, we can see that Alex Telles hasn't been a big hit in the Premier League or even in any other games for that matter for United. His crosses are definitely good; they're pinpoint crosses. But apart from that, defensively, he's suspect. So, which is why I feel that I think getting in Malaysia is a positive move. I would have loved it. I would have loved it if we would have had Timber as well, because he could have featured as a centre back or a right back. Because like I said, Aaron Wan-Bissaka has been a big issue for me. So it'll be interesting to see how he uses Malacia over here. He's like he was being scouted by Lyon as well, and like he's one quality left back as per what all we've heard and seen from him. But like if we talk about the other incomings, for example, Eriksen, I think I'm quite impressed with Eriksen being in. Eriksen is a pretty sensible signing considering that he was a free agent and he's just 30 years of age for a playmaker who's 30 years of age, who still has plenty of international football and domestic football left in him. I think it's a good move. You could say it's possibly an upgrade over Juan Mata. He has the same football IQ, if not more. Uh, Good free kick taker as well, and I think he would be a positive influence on in our dressing room as well. So yeah, Eriksen is there. Apart from that, we are also targeting Martinez from Ajax. So basically, we're raiding
Yeah.
Ajax at this moment of time. So Martinez is
Yeah,
centre
we
back.
want every Ajax player. At this
So
point, we want every Ajax player. We want Anthony. We want Martinez in defense. We want their midfielders who have gone
we
to
got
other
their
clubs.
manager. We want their director of
I
football. We
think
want
it's
everyone.
I as I said in the last pod that I think it's Van der Sar's ploy to appoint
Hmm.
himself the director of football at Manchester United. He's just sending his
Yeah,
people in the
let's
club
not for-
to
let's
represent him.
let's let's not forget that we signed Donny also like 2 seasons
Yeah,
ago. So basically, and we might get Frankie De Jong as well, who was also from Ajax. So that's like half of your team is actually an Ajax team over there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Martinez comes in because if he does, I would want to see like what Eric Ten Hag does over there. Would he go with Varane and Maguire, Varane or Martinez, and like the first like we've been screaming out for a CDM. He's going to do a makeshift CDM once a month. We all know that we're not going to sign a CDM by no means. I honestly don't have this feeling. Now, is it going to be? I don't know. Is it going to be? Is Donny going to get
I
some
think
game
I
time?
think I think it's going to be Fred or Donny as CDM with an
You never
aggressive
know.
up ball play, and if we get Frankie, that's good because Frankie would be more of the
Hmm.
playmaker that we require,
You know, I have
who
this
would be having
feeling.
a long
I've got
range.
this. I've got this feeling like I should have discussed this in the previous section. Like if Ronaldo does leave, who would our center forward be? Like not many
That's a
people
good
have faith
question.
in Anthony
That's a good
Martial,
question.
although I do. But you know who? I honestly feel that it would be Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes could be used as a striker
Yeah, yeah.
because for me he's more effective as a striker, as a second striker. For me, he is not the out and out midfielder by no means. He's been quite
He's more of a
destructive with
center
it.
forward, a false nine. He's
Exactly.
more of a
He's more
center
of a
forward.
center off. He has that resilience as well. He can press like Edison Cavani.
He's
He has
finessing,
a good
yes,
shot in him. He has a good shot in him. He's got that high
and he'll
energy.
run like hell as well. And he'll
Exactly.
run like
And
hell.
I think it might make sense if we use Bruno as a center forward.
Yeah,
So
because
Bruno,
he's
more Bruno.
physical.
Hmm.
Although last season didn't prove that way
Yeah.
because he was played out of his position, out of his natural position. But I do believe
So
there
I
is a
think
good
yeah.
argument there. There's a really good argument there. We'll
So,
just quickly move from things to things.
hmm.
Wali, will come back to you. I'll shift to
Cool, cool.
Anshuman or the latest signing,
Hmm.
and then we'll come back to you. Anshuman,
Right.
what are your thoughts about the whole situation that we're talking about right now?
Well, it's a good thing that we have got Malacia in, and at least that's one signing, so it calms the fan base a bit. As far as I'm concerned, the whole thing has been overblown because people are freaking out, not because Manchester United aren't signing anyone, it's because everyone else is. And it's just a thing that fan bases tend to do. I mean, I've used this example before as well, 2 seasons ago when Liverpool won the league, and
Yes, yes.
in the next transfer window, they didn't really need a lot of reinforcement, but they needed someone who could dictate the tempo of the midfield a bit more. So they go out and bought Thiago, and they didn't really go for anyone else, and they didn't really need to go for anyone else in that moment. But their fans were freaking out that why are we not going for anyone else when while everyone else is. So it's just a thing that teams do. The season has officially begun like 5 days ago, and yes, while it's important to buy your players as early as you can so that you can inculcate them into the preseason itinerary and so that they can get to spend more time in training and then get ready for the season, we also need to be very realistic with how the season goes, not only on the pitch, but because or not only on the pitch, but also how we start the season in the preseason because this is a very new setup, even in the hierarchy. Like this kind of change has not happened in 9 years. And with Richard Arnold, John Murter, Darren Fletcher, everyone is in a nascent role, and which we can also see in the transfer strategies because there are no transfer strategies right now. we are all essentially going with whatever Ten Hag is telling us to do, which is why we are seeing all these players. Malacia is in, Eriksen is almost on his way. Frankie De Jong has been eternally linked with us. Lisandro
Christian
Martinez,
Eriksen
we are.
unofficially, Christian Eriksen unofficially is done with his medical, and he'll be announced. I think according to the UK time as early as possible. But go on.
Yeah. So the given the kind of players we're going for, I think pretty much shows us that we don't really have that much of a recruitment policy. We are just letting Ten Hag do what he wants, which for now is fine because you need to back your manager as much as you can. And in the process, if we can shed a lot of deadwood out, that would be quite nice. For example, Andres Pereira is already on his way to Fulham, and whatever money we are able to recoup for him is fine by me because any money is good money because case in point, the whole thing we discussed regarding Paul Pogba last season, and I kept talking about how any money United could get for him would be fine then and more than zero, and which is exactly what we got in the end. So anyway, so yeah, so we can do that. That would be fine. This transfer window, backing Ten Hag with the players he specifically wants, is fine. But eventually, you would want to have a recruitment department in place who could just work with the manager in tandem and not just given to every player they want, but work with them in tandem to find the player that fits the right profile. Like we have the system at Liverpool and even in Manchester City, where they have specific targets in mind, and many a times they have a very specific player in mind that they want to go for. But in reality, you can't buy all the players you want. So you also identify a certain type of profile that you want to go for. So that's what we see at Liverpool. If can't go for a specific player, then you at least try to make sure that you get a player fitting that profile in. We have seen this in Spurs as well with all the players that they are buying for Antonio Conte. So there is that. We don't really have that this season. It's fine. It's very new. It's not to be expected. But going forward, we would want something like that. And so that's that. So as far as Tyrell Malacia is
About
concerned, I
Liverpool,
haven't. Mhm.
about Liverpool, you talked because you talked about Liverpool. I think it's not only about their recruitment policy, but how quickly they manage their outgoings as well.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, that's a very crucial point.
Minamino didn't work for them, so they quickly sold
Hmm.
him, got some money for
Hmm.
him, and now they're
Hmm.
good to go. They how
Yeah.
they dealt with the whole Sadio Mane situation, that is fantastic.
Hmm.
Even for
Hmm.
Sadio Mane dealt with everything very respectfully. He was very respectful towards the end. He managed to get a great contract at Bayern, and everything's good. I don't want to say this on live, but I will say this because I am probably honest with myself in this aspect now more. I am jealous of Liverpool and the way they are run as a United fan. I am jealous the way they are operating, and I want my club to operate like that. Although it's very hurtful to many United fans, and probably most won't even recognize this. But as a United fan, I'm very jealous of the way that Liverpool operate, the way they are operating for the past 3 4 years, especially after Jurgen Klopp arrived. How they're managing their finances. We say that they have also spent big money on Allison, on Van Dijk, on now Nunes. But every time they spend big money, they get their results. Thiago didn't work for them in the first season, but he has been balling for them since then, and he's a quality player. Nobody can argue about that. Else for United, we are going for big names. We are constantly in trouble for signing players that we shouldn't, and that is probably one of the great reasons that United are struggling. And you talked about Liverpool's transfer policy, and this came to my mind when I heard about that. That uh, it's I don't think it's a shame for United to accept that Liverpool are doing a way better job in the recruitment department, and there is something to learn there for United from the doings of business, because we have money. There's no question about that, because we have spent money like crazy. If Liverpool had similar finances, I don't think Liverpool would have uh, would have been at United's level. They would have blown United out of the water, and they could have even blown City out of the competition with that kind of spending. But we make different choices, and the different choices make us see the very different results that we see between the two sides.
Yeah, but it's also important to remember that that kind of ecosystem that Jurgen Klopp has created at Liverpool right now, it takes time. Because let's not
Yes.
forget, the guy who scouted Jordan Henderson was fired for hiring Jordan Henderson to the club. And every single one of us remember laughing at that image of Jurgen Klopp bringing all of his players together to go to the away end and join hands in hands and cheer the Liverpool away fans as they drew 2-2 to West Bromwich Albion. And at the time, we were all pissing off it and making jokes about, oh, how for what a poor situation Liverpool were in, and look how they lost the Europa League final. They couldn't even win the Europa League. So those kind of jokes we used to make, and it took its time. And people are still United fans. We are always going to look for excuses. So we are still looking for reasons to make fun of Liverpool for saying, "Oh, all of this investment that you have made, you have still won only one Premier League, the one Champions League." They are one of the best teams on the planet right now, unequivocally so. So I think it's I don't think it's any problem for me to accept that Liverpool's model has worked, because it is a model that we should be looking for, because we are not backed by owners who have infinite wealth. Neither are we backed by owners who have infinite interest to pump their own money into the club, because we know that they don't. Neither do Liverpool's. But they what they have done is they have brought the right people in place. So every single money that goes back into the club, it is generated by the club. All the signings that excuse me, all the signings that go come into the club are predicated on the players that go out. So they sent Darwin. If they bought Darwin Núñez for 80 million, they also sold Takumi Minamino for some 27 million euros. They also sold Sadio Mane for 30 million euros. So all that money that goes into the team also comes out from the team. So they are recruiting well. Recruitment also means letting go of the players at the same time, which again is something that Manchester United haven't done, because we haven't brought the managers of the right profile. And what we usually do is we back the managers in the first season, and once that's done, and second season we rarely back them. Let's just think, you mind back to Louis van Gaal's first season, 6 incomings. So second season of Jose Mourinho, we had so many players. Memphis, no, the five was season before. Schweinsteiger, we had Ibrahimovic, we had Pogba, we had Mkhitaryan, and all the different incomings in the second season. The transfer just go, the kaput. And that's because our owners there has been no recruitment system in place. So the owners are just like, well, we bought you players last season. If you should not be buying players this season. While anyone with even a little bit of understanding of any team sport will tell you that squad building takes time, and it will not happen in a single transfer window. It happens over years, and it also means that understanding that different players have different cycles. What some players would continue for it at a club for 10 to 20 years, like we had with Giggs and Scholes. Some players would fulfill your requirement for like 2 years, and by the time third season arrives, they would become a problem for the team in the dressing room, so they would need to be sold. So there are all of these ranges, and recruitment department is important to recognize this, that these are the long-term players and these are the short-term players, and every player is an asset and they have their value, and they need to be kept around and they need to be sold at the right time. But no, we have given contract extensions to players who didn't really merited it, and we still have players lurking around on huge wages who obviously don't want to go, because why wouldn't they want to go? Why would they want to go rather? So with situations like even Juan Mata was kept for too long, and as much as I enjoyed having Mata on board, we didn't really use him. So all that wages that were committed to him all went in waste. And there are a lot of players like Phil Jones, who's on a massive contract, Eric Bailly, who is on a massive contract. So all of these things, this is just a culmination of United not really recruiting properly. We have spent more than 1 billion, which is generated by the club, not put into the club by the owners. None of this is the owners' money. It is the money United is generating. It's important to keep saying that, because this argument always comes up that Glazers are putting the money. No, Glazers are putting money that is not theirs. It is generated by the club. It goes back into the club. But only if we had the right personnel in place, we could have.
They're not even using the whole of the money that we generate. They're using certain amount of the money that we generate, and they use the rest of the money generated to fill their own pockets. That's a big problem.
Because they take the dividends, as is their legal right. So that is the situation we are in. And even we talk about the Liverpool's model. Even Chelsea's model is going to be the same, because Roman Abramovich is gone. That infinite source of wealth that was there has gone. So Chelsea are going to change their ways. That hiring and firing system that used to exist and proved a lot successful for them is no longer going to be the case. And they are going to have to be a lot more realistic with the way they go about their workings as well. So the Chelsea fan base also will have to make peace with the fact that their model will also look a lot like Liverpool, and they'll try to recruit the right people in the right department and spend judiciously instead of spending money on the first player they can get, because Chelsea are used to signing players on hijack deals. Willian they signed on a hijack deal. John Obi Mikel famously they snatched from us, and Kai Havertz only went there because no one else was in the market to buy him. And Timo Werner only went to Chelsea after Jurgen Klopp categorically told him that for the next 2 seasons he could not give him any kind of guaranteed playing time ahead of Firmino, Salah, and Mane. And I still won't be surprised if Werner eventually goes to Liverpool at some point. Now that they are
He'd be a big
shuffling
success.
things around,
He'd be a
yeah.
big success as well, I think. He'd be a big
Yeah, he will
success
be
for
a
Liverpool.
success because I think he's the kind of profile that
Yes,
they'll be able to
that's
fit, because
exactly.
I trust Liverpool to make the right decisions in that regard. So
The,
yeah, I
if it
think as far you.
if you see how he plays and if you see how Liverpool play, I think he is better suited to Liverpool's play than Chelsea. A whole lot better suited because the pace that he has, he can the way he can complement others. He requires someone like Salah as a finisher. He requires someone they'll have Luis Diaz from another wing, and Luis Diaz I think is a fantastic signing, and Luis Diaz signing I think represents Liverpool as a whole. The way they have used Luis Diaz the previous season and the way they'll use it now, especially after Sadio Mane is not there, I think it will show people a lot more. We laughed at Liverpool when they were struggling with all their injuries, but Liverpool are here to stay, and uh, we have to make peace with the fact that we need to do better, especially in the transfer market. I posed a question regarding this, and we'll move to another player, a player who has been talked about a lot in this transfer window, Frankie De Jong. The Barcelona situation, Laporta constantly saying that he's our player and trying to save face, and we'll have a few statements about that, and I think that will be it about this session. Then we'll try to do again in a few days time, or as soon as possible, maybe even after Christian Eriksen is announced, who knows. uh, so I'll move to the Frankie de Jong question. I'll talk to Wally now. Wally, do you think Frankie de Jong is coming, and for how much money will he come, and for how long will this saga last? Three questions, quick answers.
This feels like the Wesley Snyder saga all over again. I'm sick and
Hmm.
tired of it, and I have no clue as to when he's going to come. But the reason why I feel that he will is because Barcelona are deeply interested in signing Robert Lewandowski. If they were not interested in signing any other big money player, then I think he would have stayed for another season. But since he's coming, he's going to have his wages. We all know that. And given the financial mess that Barcelona are going through, it's important and it's vital for them. Although Laporta might be playing uh, his a game of chess over there with the United owners, with the United board. I honestly feel that even they want to sell him, be it for whatever price. I think they're doing the same thing which Dortmund did with Jadon Sancho a season ago. They wanted 80 million for Sancho, although the personal terms were agreed. Over here, I think it's just about convincing Frankie De Jong in a manner, and I think that they're trying to get some more money out of him. So I think he will come. Eventually, he will come.
I
It's
think
just
Frankie is
that he
already
will.
convinced according to reports. According to reports, Frankie is already convinced. It's just that Laporta is
Yeah,
trying hardball to get more money out of United.
yeah, there have been some reports that says that he's made up his mind and he'll make his move to United. There have been some reports that he would have preferred to stay at Barcelona, but given his relationship with Ten Hag, I think he would fancy his move. And I honestly don't feel that anyone would prefer a wage cut. So Frankie De Jong to United might happen. The problem with us is that since the preseason tour starts and on 12th United face Liverpool, I honestly don't feel that it's going to be before the preseason, and I honestly feel that it's going to be similar to as to what happened to Rafael Varane last season, because we remember the first Premier League game, it was Rafael Varane who was unveiled in front of Old Trafford. We just love to market our players. That is something which we might pull off. We'll have to wait for our first Premier League game for that matter, because he is one of the stars in modern day football. So I think yeah, he will be coming, but we'll just have to wait a bit, and it's going to be frustrating for us United fans. But hey, we've been used to it. We've been used to transfer markets frustrations for a while now. So yeah, he'll be coming. and we'll just have to be patient enough. You're on mute, Paritosh.
Uh, one more question about another player, because I'm trying to close this thing as fast as possible. Anthony from Ajax, the Brazilian, 22-year-old Brazilian. It is reported that United have made a bid of 60 million, but Ajax are holding on for 80 million. They don't want to let him go. They want him for another season. Do you think he's coming or not?
Well, Anthony, I'll make it quick. Anthony desperately wants to come, unlike Frankie de Jong. He's desperate to join Manchester United. There have been plenty of reports about that, which is why United have given a lower offer to Ajax, just so that they could pressurize Anthony to actually push for a move. Eventually, they're going to pay up more. We all know that, and I think I would really fancy his move to United because Marcus Rashford. It was a poor season from on his behalf. Like, it was a poor season, and I think there really needs to be some competition on the right hand side. I honestly don't feel that Anthony Ilanga is ready yet. I think Anthony from Ajax might do a really good job on the right wing, and we need someone left footed from the right channel. Sancho on the left, and in the middle it could either be Bruno, Ronaldo, or Martial, whoever it might be. I think there might be some creativity coming in from both the flanks. So yeah, I think Anthony, we're in for him. Ten Hag loves him. I think we will sign him as well.
Anshuman, quick questions to you about Frankie de Jong and Anthony. How much money do you think both will come for? Do you think they will come? And what do you think about both the signings, or what all players do you believe are coming else than these two?
I have very little idea as to whether Anthony would come because I don't think that Manchester United have enough in their transfer kitty to spend 70 plus million on two players, to be perfectly honest. I think Frankie de Jong is more crucial to whatever Ten Hag is planning because our midfield is bust. As far as Anthony is concerned, while he will be, as far as Ten Hag is concerned, he will be an improvement because knows him from his time at Ajax. I don't think he comes in a position where we need reinforcement immediately. Where we need a reinforcement is in the midfield. And Frankie de Jong would immediately become a best midfield player because he's a ball progressor, he's a ball carrier, and that is something that we haven't had in our midfield for a very long time. And so that is a player that I think will come, not just because Ten Hag wants him, but also because Barca are not really in a position to play as hardball as John Laporta is making everyone to believe. Uh, they are having to play a very political game, as things always tend to be with Barca. And a lot of what Joan Laporta is doing right now is uh, posturizing in front of the Barca socios. They are telling them that okay, we are back, we are competing in the market. He has to sell that dream because that is the campaign he stood on in his re-election campaign, and Messi is already not there, so he's already on very weak, thin ground. So he needs to do that posturizing that, okay, we are back in the market, we're doing this. But in reality, anyone who's been following their financials for even remotely closely know that they are in no position to do that. And Barca have been playing hardball against United regarding Frankie de Jong this much only because it's United. Only because this is a United that even the 2 years ago shelled to 50 million for Van Saka and 80 million for Harry Maguire. So this is why Barca have been able to play hardball with United and saying that we want north of 80 million. If this was any other club, even if this was even PSG with infinite wealth, I think Barca would have caved in by now because they need the money, they need the liquidity that De Jong's transfer would generate. And while they are not externally saying that because they can't, internally they must be telling Frankie De Jong that if you want to stay at Barca, you're going to have to take a wage cut because that's exactly what they're asking every single player. Even the players, they don't want to stay at the club because Sembilon Cici, they extended his contract to 2027 in January, and he's already on the transfer list. And there are a lot of other players who have taken wage cut, but they won't mind selling them if an offer came for them. But offers are not coming, and this is one of their biggest saleable assets, Frankie De Jong. So they would sell him. I think in the market, I think in the middle of 70 to 80 million euros, I think is a price they will eventually agree. I think they're just trying to haggle United as much as they can. I think if we get Frankie De Jong towards the end of this window as well, I think that's a win for us. I don't think we need to worry too much. And yes, the technical details, the finities are a bit of an issue when you think about the fact that Frankie De Jong should be arriving early in the preseason so that he could be incorporated into the system a lot quicker, because a lot of the United's midfield is going to be built around him, no matter what happens, no matter what structure Ten Hag eventually sticks with. But I think he's the kind of marquee player that if you are going for in a transfer window, I don't think you worry about getting him like in the first week of June. If he arrives by the last week of June or in the first week of August, I think I'll be perfectly fine with it. And if that is the only marquee signing they're going for, I think that's also perfectly fine. So that would be one player that I think we really, really need. But he still isn't the out and out defensive midfield option. But a midfield pivot of Frankie De Jong and Fridge would be much better than Fridge and McTominay, because at least there would be one ball carrier. And that would be the same with Christian Eriksen. I think again he's a product of the Ajax academy. So the one thing that Ajax players are known for is their position is their schooling on the positional play systems that have been long instilled by them since the days of Renus Michels. So I think there is we can see where Ten Hag's targets are coming from, and these are very intelligent players. These are very technically gifted players, be it Lisandro Martinez or be it Tyrell Malacia, be it Christian Eriksen. And but United still need quite a lot of reinforcement in that defensive midfield. And up until we don't do that, I think if we are able to get Lisandro Martinez, I think he'll be able to play that hybrid role as the number six, or I think in a defensive pivot, being the defensive side of the pivot, or even as a centre back, I think he'll be able to play that role. So yeah, those I think Frankie De Jong is the marquee signing. I think United are going for. I don't think I will be very surprised if Anthony also arrived. I don't think that he's that much of a target right now, but I think Frankie De Jong is very likely at this point. And I think Lisandro Martinez, we are in with him for Arsenal, and Mikel Arteta and Edu are very good at identifying their targets. So if they are targeting him, it means that he's the right player to go for, because Arteta's philosophies have come from Guardiola, and Guardiola learned from Bielsa, he learned from Cruyff. So we already know the kind of football Arteta has been trying to play for a long time. So we know that this is the kind of player that would succeed in a Ten Hag system as well. So yeah, I think Lisandro Martinez is the kind of player I am personally looking forward to, because he fits the kind of profile that we have needed for a long, long time. And so I hope we get him. And Frankie De Jong is the from a marquee signing that I think Manchester United will eventually get.
Okay, then I think that's it for this particular session, and hopefully we'll be back very soon with another announcement or some other news regarding Manchester United. Till then, it's good night from us, me Partha Joshi, Anshuman Joshi, and Wali Siddiqui signing off for United. Bye bye.